Hello and welcome to the sequel to Pegasus Prime and the Journeyman Project Turbo, the Journeyman Project 2, Buried in Time, the epic time travel adventure. If you ever see the ads for this game, you'll get that voice. But yeah, so this was released in 1995, so a few years after Journeyman Project 2. It was roughly concurrent with Pegasus Prime, I think. The original one, not the remake we have today. Actually, I had to do some playing with it because this ran fine on Windows 10, but for some reason I had to adjust settings on Windows 11 to get it to run, which I'm glad I spent a few more minutes testing it, because we almost had to go through this in 8-bit color, which was not ideal. There was a lot of dithering and stuff, and it just bleh. But yes, this is Buried in Time, the critically acclaimed sequel to Journeyman Project Turbo. We'll, of course, obviously be picking off from Pegasus Prime in that continuity. I won't be reading the manual. The manual is very short, and all the information can be found in the files biochip, and the only other part is like a recap of Journeyman Project Turbo. So there's really no point in covering it, because they even have that Journeyman Project Turbo recap in the game. So there's literally no point to reading the manual. It's like Pegasus Prime. There's just nothing in there that can't be found in game, so there's no sense in going through it. Maybe I'll put up some pictures at the end, because there are a couple pictures, but nothing to write home about. In any case, let's go through the interface overview first.
The jumpsuit's navigation buttons allow you to turn left and right, look up and down, and move forward in the direction you're currently facing. A lit navigation button means that you can turn or move in that direction. You'll stop walking forward when you reach the next decision point. You can scroll through the items in your possession by clicking the up and down arrow buttons located next to the item list. Clicking the Inspect button between the arrows brings up an information screen on the selected item. To pick something up, click and drag it from the view window down into your inventory and let go. To use an inventory item, click and drag its picture icon into the main view window and drop it on top of the object you want to use it on. Items used by or on your jumpsuit are activated by simply clicking on their pictures. Biochips are program modules that allow the jumpsuit to perform specific tasks. Biochips may be added to the jumpsuit to give it new functions. To activate a biochip, click on its picture in the inventory item icon window. This will bring up a control panel for that biochip. To get information about what a biochip does or how it works, click the Inspect button. The final element of the jumpsuit's interface is the message window. This display will alert you to any situations or dangerous conditions that you need to be aware of. Pay close attention to the information displayed here. It could save your life. For further information on the jumpsuit and its interface, see the Buried in Time instruction manual or access the file's biochip after starting the game.
And accessing the file's biochip will actually be most of the first episode, which leads me to two warnings. The first warning is, while this game canonically comes after Pegasus Prime, the remake introduced some features that this game doesn't have. One of them is sound balancing. The sound balance in this game can be terrible at times. I don't know if it was a technology limitation or what exactly happened, but the sound balancing can be really terrible, and there's nothing I can do about it. There is no volume bar, there is no dialogue bar, there is no ambient sound bar. The sound is what it is. And so, at times, voices in this game will be hard to hear. I will do my best, but I'm not a miracle worker. So just be wary of that. If you are hard of hearing, I recommend Orion's playthrough, because this game doesn't have subtitles either. But Orion actually painstakingly crafted subtitles for all the dialogue he found, and he's doing more than I am. I'm just going through the main game, shooting for a perfect score, He also did all the deaths, all the hints. So if you're hard of hearing and you need those subtitles, go see a Ryland's playthrough. The second warning, which goes back to my original point from the interface overview, is this game has a lot of exposition. You'll understand why once we go through the intro, but it is very exposition heavy. Most of it I aim to keep in these first 2 episodes. However, there will be some episodes that have more of me talking than others. That being said, if you absolutely cannot stand just getting info dumped for 2 episodes straight, skip to probably episode 3. I imagine that's where I'll probably start time traveling, or trying to at least. Because otherwise, these first 2 episodes, they're going to be long, and it's going to be a whole lot of info dumping. Also, one last point to make. You may have noticed in the interface overview, our view window is unfortunately about the same size as that in Journeyman Project Turbo, so it's going to be a bit smaller than Pegasus Prime's view window. But the image quality that we'll see in there is going to be probably on par with Pegasus Prime, maybe even a little better, and certainly far better than Journeyman Project Turbo. So, with that being said, I suppose some background on this game too. So this game was my childhood. I played this a lot as a kid, even though I didn't know what was going on in the game because I was too young to understand. I still managed to beat half the game, and then I broke the disc as a young, stupid child, and found out about Journeyman Project Turbo because my grandma had a copy for some reason, even though she never had any children of age to play video games, you know. It just, for whatever reason, was at her house. Yeah, I think I went over that in Journeyman Project Turbo a bit, but yeah. This game broke, but then I found out Legacy of Time existed, a sequel to this game. And so we bought the complete Journeyman Project collection, which at that time included 1 disc for Journeyman Project Turbo, 3 discs for Buried in Time, and 4 discs for Legacy of Time. Unfortunately, the Buried in Time copy, Disc 2, while it had the cover of Disc 2, was actually a reprint of Disc 1. Unfortunately, we bought this after the replacement program ended, so I was spoiled yet again from getting Buried in Time. Eventually, around high school, I sailed the high seas and managed to find a copy, and was finally able to beat it. But I spent so much time playing this game. Between this, Jane's Fleet Command, Jane's Fighters Anthology, and the Activision Star Trek games, those were my childhood. Plus a handful of other games, Call of Duty 1 and 2, the Star Trek Starship Creator, and some of the, not Scholastic. They're distributed by Scholastic, but I forget who made those little spin-offs that were more like library games or something. Need for Speed 2, Need for Speed, Force Unleashed. Those were all my childhood. This game was a very strong component of it. It's probably what gave me my interest in history. I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do. I know I've got some heavy nostalgia goggles, but I hope you'll see it the way I see it. All that being said, though, let's get into the game.
Earth has been officially admitted into the symbiotry of peaceful beings.
Gratitude that I honor you, Gage Blackwood, with the Paragon Medal for Valorous Service.
At a conference this morning, the government admitted the existence of the Temporal Security Agency, an organization.
The arrest of Eliot Sinclair can be attributed to Agent 5, Gage Blackwood, who single-handedly defeated Sinclair's name.
Quick, there's not much time to explain. They'll be here any second. Yes, I am you. I've come from the future.
We've been framed. Now, whatever you try to do not interfere with what's about to happen. The suit I'm going to transfer over to you will keep you close, so just stand still and watch. When it's all over, you'll be pulled 10 years forward in the future to my present. From there out, it's all up to you. Oh, and I've hidden more information inside of you. You'll figure out what I mean. Here comes the jumpsuit.
Smart move dumping your jumpsuit, Gage. It's a good thing I got here before you got too far. So, where is it?
What does that matter anyhow?
What, do you think I'm not going to be able to transport you back without it? Look, there's two ways we can do this. Either suit up and jump back with me, or I'm going to have to use the remote. And you know which is less painful.
Yeah, I know. Do what you have to.
Okay. Have it your own way, Gage. But don't think we won't find the jumpsuit. Didn't you even realize that violating house arrest was going to make things worse for you? I mean, until you did this. You know, I couldn't believe for a second that you were guilty. But now, well, I guess that's just for a jury to decide.
Come on, Gage. Let's go.
And just like that, we are now 10 years into the future. There's been a lot of changes since the previous games. One of the biggest quality of life improvements, at least from a gameplay perspective, you can use the numpad. Ooh, excuse me. You can use the numpad to look around and move, which can make queuing up movements a lot easier. Also, if on Windows at least, if you hit, say, Control F, that will instantly bring up the biochip associated with that letter. So that can save you a lot of scrolling from your biochip. Oh man, we got a relatively empty inventory, you know, compared to the other games. Like, obviously it's more full than either of those two were on start, but compared to how they were at the end. So first off, just to get an idea of what's going on, we will listen to future Gage's advice. He's hidden more information inside of us, and well, this looks kind of like us.
Since you're getting this message, I'm assuming everything went well. Now, before you do anything, you need to understand that the role of the TSA has changed in recent years. In addition to the security unit, there's now another team whose job it is to research history. That's the team I was on. That is, until someone altered history at 4 of my research mission locations. They weren't major changes, just enough to create temporal ripples. When another agent discovered the temporal ripples about a week ago, I was suspended and put on house arrest. Then they discovered some evidence, and by the next day I was already on trial. I had just about given up hope last night when it hit me. I'm being watched, but you can still prove that we're innocent. So I've decided to break house arrest and jump back in time to get your help. Right now, I'm probably in jail. If they know where I am, they won't be looking for me. You'll be free to jump to any of my research mission locations to see what's going on. Now pay attention. This is important. Go to each of the 4 time zones and gather as many clues as you can find. Try and discover what's been changed and how. I've programmed the jumpsuit to auto-record any evidence you might find. Oh, and one more thing. I don't know if this has anything to do with what's going on, but I was at the TSA a couple weeks ago, doing an unscheduled check of the security grid. I noticed something was wrong. It seems a couple of the feedback jumpers had gotten crossed. A good portion of the security grid was compromised for I don't know how long. Anyone with the right information could have gotten into or out of the TSA, the Pegasus warehouse, or any of the restricted areas without even being seen. I I'm still not sure why I'm being set up, but I think this might have something to do with it. Be careful. Our life is on the line.
And that is a prime example of some of the audio balancing issues I mentioned. So here, this looks like our little kitchen storage where we have our plates and bowls and stuff, and then the action figures on top. Just to show you what I mean too, this is our interface biochip. All we get is save, pause, restore, endgame, transition, speed, flicker. That's it. Oh, that seems kind of useless, but okay. There are a couple areas where that might be of use, but only a couple. That's kind of funny. So I suppose the first thing we'll do, well, we can look at the robots first. These are all three of the robots that we had a face before. So we have Poseidon. We have, I think this one is Ares. And then we have Mercury. All of which say their iconic line from the first time you meet them. You'll notice this game kind of uses both Turbo and Pegasus Prime. Obviously a lot of these models and stuff are based on Turbo. There will be some footage later that is taken from Turbo. But then in the intro, you see we've got the apartment from Pegasus Prime. So it's a little... I think it's because they were working on Pegasus Prime roughly around the time that they were doing Buried in Times, and that's why that is. And in fact, I remember in the original copy of Buried in Time that I had on disc, there was an ad for Pegasus Prime on it. Not that I could have gotten it since it wasn't ever on PC until the GOG and Steam versions were released. But we'll take a tour of the apartment later. For now, let's go through our inventory first. There is a lot of information to cover. We will be here for hours. Object analysis, biochip link. Description, new functions can be added to the jumpsuit by downloading program information into blank biochips. Oh good, we can just scroll through. Object analysis, biochip cloak. When activated, the cloak biochip renders an agent invisible. However, movement destroys the mask of invisibility, so the agent must stand still to remain unseen. And actually, before I go further and forget, yes, I did use the extended version of that scene from Pegasus Prime, from the Easter egg in Pegasus Prime, just because I do like the extra bit of dialogue that it gives Agent Pete. The shorter version that's featured in Buried in Time and all the official materials tends to be, it's really short. It's just, come on, Gage, let's go. And it gives him absolutely no character. And I think it adds a lot of flavor, so that's why I repurposed it into this footage. So just be warned, if you do play this on your own, you will get a different version of that scene. That being said, if you do want to play this, I recommend you play it before watching this playthrough, because I will say this is like probably top 3, if not number 1 on list of games that I wish I could like hit myself in the head and forget so I could experience for the first time again. Moving on though, biochip evidence. I've programmed this optical memory biochip to catalog any evidence you find. It'll record everything you see, but evidence will be indexed so that you can queue it up quickly. So this is basically a modified version of the OpMen biochip from the previous games. Files biochip. The Temporal Security Annex data files are located on the Files biochip to allow an agent to access this information quickly and easily without having to return to the TSA. So I assume this is kind of like their modern replacement for the historical log. I assume if you go back in time after the distortion wave, like they probably just get like a daily update to their existing Files biochip. And then every day someone, there's probably a biochip seeded throughout history or something left behind to be altered, and then you just pick up one of those. And then use those to compare where history might have been altered. That's my assumption, at least. They never really discuss it because we don't really deal with temporal rips anymore, for reasons you'll see in these two games. There is one, but... Biochip interface. The interface biochip controls all file and computer control functions. So this is basically your menu, your game menu. And then biochip jump. The jump biochip contains the jumpsuit's time travel controls. It is used to travel to mission locations or recall back to the present. Before beginning a mission, an agent must review the briefing. So we don't need Pegasus anymore. We don't need a fixed stationary machine that might not exist when we get back. Our jumpsuit has a self-contained time machine, which means it has a self-contained power core capable of powering a time machine for multiple jumps because we don't have to recharge. So obviously joining the symbiotree of peaceful beings has led to an explosion of technological advancement for Earth. Well, to our apartment a little bit before we get into some of the nitty-gritty. Obviously we have a lot of art around. I'm not sure if we're still in Caldoria or if we're because like the jump, when you jump here, it says you're in like the American East Appalachian Mountains or something. This is our new Environ chamber. As you can see, it seats about 7 people. We'll go into that later because that's going to be a huge time sink. That's basically going to be all of episode 2. But yeah, I don't know if it's just Caldoria.
Please step back. House arrest and payment barrier may not be crossed.
As you see, we're locked in, but that's fine. I don't know if we're like in Caldoria and we just happen to be over the Rocky Mountains or Appalachian Mountains or whatever, or if we've actually moved to a house on Earth. And because it's possible, like all the walls and stuff could all be Environ's stuff, but it's just as likely that we've gotten so famous and rich from saving the world that we have our own house on Earth now. As you can see, a model of the solar system. It automatically loops if you want to make that your screensaver or whatever. Likewise, we have a Journeyman collectible, little toy robot, Clown magazine, some sort of time magazine, and the Tasmanian Devil, apparently. But you can see this is kind of like a living room with the tables and chairs and stuff. Gage's house is very weird, to be honest. You also notice the lack of bathroom, like unlike the previous game, which I assume it's just like hidden in a wall somewhere or something. But we can't trigger it. There's no trigger for it. And honestly, there's really no use for it because we are kind of in our jumpsuits, so kind of hard to take a shower or poop while you're in your jumpsuit. You can see the one bookshelf that'll probably ever pass the bookshelf test with a chalk-mold book stand. And if you don't know what a chalk-mold is, we'll be finding out about that later.
Antique books for display purposes only. Please do not touch.
And they're for display purposes only, which I guess kind of makes sense. Probably a collector's item and everything is on like computers and stuff. I honestly can't read this. Maybe I'll see it better in post-processing or editing, but this is blown up for me. But I assume it's an award or something. I don't know, but it's just kind of hard to read. And this is a good version of the game. We almost had to play in 8-bit color, and that was terrible. Fortunately, I got the 24-bit color that worked. And you can see Gage has a bit of a time fetish. Metronome, sundial, alarm clock, potentially alien clock. And then he's got what looks like a Casio stopwatch, a pocket watch, and then a sundial. And here we have our desk. Ooh, lamp light. We have a picture there. It's really hard to see. Actually, this is the first time I've ever noticed it's actually a picture. I don't know if that's of him and his co-workers. Maybe he's got... I don't think he has family, otherwise, they'd be here. Unless they're, like, his parents or something.
Agent 5, Gage Blackwood, is under house arrest. Access privileges revoked.
So we can't use the internet. But apparently our house has a direct connection to TSA computers when we're not under house arrest. We'll save these files for a little bit later. And I think we'll save that for a little bit later too. So we'll come back to this desk. There's some story stuff there. But this is kind of like his kitchen area. There's seats around there. And this is Mr. Chef. Power. The Val 9000 Universal Domestic Replicator. As you can see, we have an auto chef. Unable to process your request. You have already replicated the allotted meals for the current date and time. Thank you for using auto chef. It'll say that for all the meals. There's nothing different. We have a shop net here, which if we have any product order codes, we can order something, which will then get sent to our post office, and then we can replicate it. Fortunately, we don't have any codes right now, but it would show up here. Oh, and here we have a self-cleaning coffee cup. Which I remember, there was a product catalog that came with the original version of the game. I don't remember all the merchandise, but I do know coffee mugs were one of them. Unfortunately, I don't think they were self-cleaning like that one. Ooh, we walked around a lot there. Oven mitts and stuff, I don't know why you'd need them when everything gets replicated. I know that's like a sink, I don't know what that is. I don't know what most of this is. We got these little guys here. They drink. They're cool. And we can see a very scenic and beautiful view. I kind of almost think this is his house and he is in the mountains just to potentially get away from people. Maybe as like partly as a security measure. You know, so people don't like go after him in his civilian life. Partly to get away from, you know, paparazzis and stuff. But just very beautiful view. I wouldn't mind having a view like that, but I'm also not a millionaire, so good luck to me. And that brings us back around to here. I'll actually look up the coordinates after this video, because I did notice there were coordinates, so we can see exactly where it is, and maybe I'll put that in the next video or something. Just to finish our walkabout here, we can see it just goes back and forth. That's all it does. And you can see there's or here there's a little bit of a audio distortion there. Like it almost sounds like it's that Tasmanian devil thing. And then we have a bowl of fruit, and we can't do anything with it. And that brings us back. So we've just about done a whole lap. You can't hold down like you can in Pegasus Prime, but you can queue up multiple moves. So first things first, we're going to access our files biochip. And this and the items on the desk are going to be our backstory for today. Next week for the second episode, I'm going to try to get through all the Environ stuff, but it might take a little while. Excuse me, that might even have to get split up into 2 episodes depending on how fast it goes, but let's start with background. Development of technology. Technology. The world's first time machine, known as Pegasus, was the brainchild of part-time historian and full-time physicist Eliot Sinclair. In 2311, after seeing Sinclair's time-bending experiments, the government contracted him to build a full-scale operational time machine. The purpose of this device was to explore our past as well as to discover the truth behind many disputed historical events. Just 4 years after the project was begun, the world's first time machine underwent its first test run. Founding of the TSA. The test run would be the first and last time that Pegasus would be used for research purposes. Due to mounting concern by government officials that such a device could lead to the accidental permutation of history, the project was discontinued. Sinclair was forbidden to ever work on time distortion projects again, and with the illicit construction of the time travel devices now being a very real threat, the government secretly set up the Temporal Security Agency as a means to safeguard history from sabotage. The jumpsuit. As had been expected, Earth's incorporation into the symbiotree of peaceful beings brought with it astounding advances in technology. These advances aided the TSA in developing the next generation of time machines. The Time Displacement Unit, or jumpsuit, incorporates an entire time machine into a mobile, self-contained suit. The greatest advantage of the jumpsuit is that it can forge its own null time tunnel from one location to another, eliminating the need to return to the present between jumps. This new technology rendered Pegasus obsolete, and in August of 2325, the time machine was dismantled. Its huge generator was destroyed, and the smaller core elements put into storage in a location known only to the agents of the Temporal Security Agency. So that was 3 years ago, roughly, for our current time. So basically about 7 years after the events of Pegasus Prime, Pegasus has been dismantled. Does it say when the jumpsuits came online? No, presumably by 23-25. Divisions of TSA divisions. Along with the development of the Time Displacement Unit came a rethinking and restructuring of the Temporal Security Agency. Gone were the days of historical security relying entirely on one agent using one machine. Now multiple agents had the freedom to move through time at will, and several years had gone by without incident, changing the prevailing opinion on the danger of time travel technology. In 2327, the decision was made to expand the Temporal Security Annex to include a historical research team. This team, self-dubbed the Deep Time Unit, is comprised of 4 individuals who are each responsible for researching and recording various periods of history. So that's the team we were on, that we spearheaded. And that was formed a year ago, give or take. Yeah, just as 2327. So this team is only a year old, and now us, the leader of the team, is being framed for sabotaging history. Great. Oh, okay, so this is a more detailed overview of our suit. Suit overview. The Time Displacement Unit, more commonly known as the jumpsuit, is a Temporal Security Agent's mode of time travel. Each of the TSA's 10 jumpsuits have been coded specifically to the DNA of the agent to which it has been assigned, and cannot be used by anyone other than the assignee. Unauthorized tampering with the suit will result in the self-destruction of its neurocircuitry. Though the jumpsuit offers freedom of travel, it does not provide the agent with much protection. For this reason, it has been equipped with cloaking technology that renders it invisible to onlookers. This feature is vital to the members of the Deep Time Unit, who must exercise extreme discretion while researching the past. However, as moving destroys the illusion of invisibility, the suit's navigation buttons are disabled while it is cloaked. The jumpsuit has also been equipped with an oxygen rebreather and compressed air supply for environments with little or no oxygen. This reserve immediately refills when the agent returns to an oxygenated environment. The final significant feature of the jumpsuit is the temporal pocket. Items collected by an agent are stored in this pocket, which is actually a null space void. When placed in the void, objects take up no space and are not a burden to the agent. Such items can be easily retrieved by just dragging their inventory display icon into the main view window. So that's an important thing to note, and that kind of gives a clue as to our future self's plan. So he's being watched, but we aren't. And we're the only one who can use his jumpsuit and who's capable of clearing his name. So that's why he jumped back to get us. So we could use his jumpsuit. Then he'd be in prison, so they know where he is, so they aren't looking for him, and they'd probably be searching our old apartment for the jumpsuit, which isn't going to be there. While giving us the freedom to explore history and find out what's been changed, how it's been changed, and what the hell is going on. So his plan is actually a stroke of genius, really. Agent dossiers, security unit, and research unit. Let's start with the security unit. I assume at least the security unit suits still have like shielding functions from the original bio support suit, but we notice that we don't have a shield biochip, which gameplay reason we don't need it. We're not getting hit with plasma cannons this time, but I assume those still exist for more threatening situations, and I assume we still at least have the basic functionality maybe of like basic shielding to keep those temporal particles off of us so we can't be tracked. In any event, Agent 1, Gail Yakamura, ID number 97408-402, status active, age 27, height 1.7 meters, weight 61.7 kilograms. Profile 6/18/23/22. So, they joined after, because remember, 2318 is when the events of the last game. So, Agent 1 is a new recruit, which shows that there's been turnover at the TSA, which makes sense. I think there were, like, you get an idea that there's between 8 and 10 agents at the TSA, from like that biochip canister that revolves to give you your own personal biochips. And if you wanted to, you could probably cross-reference those 10 numbers with these and see who's been there since before our mission and who's new, post Sinclair incident. Anyway, 6/18/23/22, graduated with honors from Oxford University with PhD in social psychology and master's degree in world history. 6/25/23/24, graduated Special Forces Training Academy. 7/1/23/24 to 7/10/23/27, employed by CIC as criminal psychologist. 11/26/23/25, completed training in Jiu-Jitsu. 3/1/23/27, transferred to Temporal Protectorate. Yeah, so he's only come out in the last year. Interests: cooking, 23rd century hollow flicks, classical music, net debates. So he's a flamer. Agent 2, Getty Neal Getty. ID 25371-230, status active, age 33, height 1.88 meters, weight 74.3 kilograms. Profile: 2/8/2309, earned black belt in karate. 6/15/2310, graduated high school. 4/11/2312, earned black belt in judo. 6/27/2312, graduated prep school. 11/1/2313 to 12/6/2319, studied under martial arts masters, attaining rank of master in kendo, karate, and judo. 4/24/2320 to 10/15/2323, owned and operated martial arts training school. 11/1/2323, hired onto Temporal Protectorate. So he's the melee specialist, I guess, of the organization. Interests: baseball, the Three Stooges, and 20th Century Rock. And he came on about 5 years ago. So he's a little more experienced than Agent 1. Agent 4, Alan Carver, ID 23980-771, status active, age 37, height 1.83 meters, weight 72 kilograms. 6/29/2311, graduated University of Stockholm with master's degree in cultural anthropology. 7/10/2311 to 11/1/2312, employed as assistant to prominent cultural anthropologist. 11/18/2312 to 6/25/2315, held various positions, attended academy. 6/25/2315, graduated top of class, Special Forces Training Academy. 7/1/2315, hired onto Temporal Protectorate. Interests: poetry, science fiction, anthropology, skiing, tennis, and sailing. So he's a long time member. He's been there probably at least as long as we've been there. Actually, let's go through that real quick. Age Blackwood, ID 10284-516, status pending, age 36, height 1.8 meters, weight 74.3 kilograms. Profile: okay, so we've been there since 2315, so we've been there about the same amount of time. But 6/22/2311, graduated with honors from the University of Melbourne with master's degree in world history. 6/25/2313, graduated top of class, Special Forces Training Academy. 6/30/2313 to 3/12/2315, director of tactical teams for CIC. 3/12/2315, transferred to Temporal Security Annex of CIC. 11/8/2318, received Paragon Medal for performance in the line of duty. 12/17/2318, promoted to captain of the Temporal Protectorate. 7/1/2325, chosen to form and head up the Deep Time Unit. So we are not only the head of the Deep Time Unit, we are basically the head of all their field agents. So we've gone from the hotshot maverick, as Baldwin described us in Pegasus Prime, to calm, cool, collected leader. Interests: classic science fiction, history, abstract art, and Journeyman collectibles. Missions: Chichen Itza, 8/20/1050 AD, Chateau Gaillard, 3/6/1204 AD, Da Vinci Studio, 12/1/1488 AD, Ornstein Lab, 1/26/2257. So 3 of these are actually going to be real historical missions that we go on, while 1 is kind of up to the fantasy of the writers, and honestly, they're all very good. I love them all. So that gives us an idea of where everyone else stands in relation to us. Agent 7, Silene Flores, ID 90125-386, status active, age 29, height 1.75 meters, weight 65.7 kilograms. Profile: 6/15/2315, graduated Boulder Prep School. 7/1/2315 to 9/15/2318, employed as tour guide for rafting excursions. Okay, so she's a very recent hire, it seems, or relatively recent at least. 10/1/2318 to 9/1/2321, employed as mountain rescue ranger. 1/22/2320, received commendation for dangerous cliff rescue. 6/25/2323, graduated with honorable mention, Special Forces Training Academy. 7/1/2323, hired onto Temporal Protectorate. Interest: rock climbing, river rafting, impressionist painting. So she's kind of like the survival specialist of the team. I kind of find it funny though that for as peaceful as this world that Earth is supposed to be, we still have a Special Forces Academy. But I suppose because it's peaceful, they don't need a regular army. They just need Special Forces to handle the little incidents that crop up. They don't, we're not fighting intergalactic wars or wars between nations anymore. So it's really just anti-crime and counter-terrorism, really, probably. Agent 8, Marcus Warner, ID 26139-227, status active, age 30, height 1.78 meters, weight 68.9 kilograms. Profile: 5/29/2316, graduated Southwest College with BA degree in criminal law and minor in business. 10/1/2316 to 4/8/2318, owned, operated private investigation firm. 5/1/2318 to 7/31/2324, employed in CIC Criminal Investigation Unit. 4/19/2323, promoted to Captain of Criminal Investigation Unit of CIC. 8/1/2324, transferred to Temporal Protectorate, interest photography, classical music, cooking, and scuba diving. So he's kind of like the investigator. Kyle Yakamura, I didn't mention it, but he seems to be like the criminal psychologist. I think this guy was, he was the melee master. Carver's probably the leader, and he's got like the history interest, because it seems so far he's been here the longest, although maybe Vladish Yasignova has been longer. But here, Vladish Yasignova, ID number 86426-015, status active, age 28, height 1.73 meters, weight 65.3 kilograms. Profile: 12/15/2315, graduated high school. 6/25/2317, graduated Special Forces Training Academy. 9/1/2317 to 11/8/2321, employed by CIC Tactical Command Unit. 3/7/2319, received Golden Star for exceptional performance. 10/12/2321, received second Golden Star. 11/8/2321, transferred to Temporal Protectorate. Interest: skiing, surfing, 21st century fusion, grunge, and politics. So he's been here a little while, 7 years, but he's probably second behind Alan Carver. And this was Agent 8, by the way. This is the guy that took us in, and we saw he only joined within the last 4 years. So that explains why he kind of looks up to us. Now we have the research unit, and we went over ourselves already, but we have Michelle Weisgarter, who you may remember from Pegasus Prime, who's our friend, who, just looking real quick, she was hired roughly the same time at us. She might have been a little earlier, because March 3/1 versus 3/12. Okay, so we came on like a few days after her, so we've basically been there the same amount of time, which explains why we're such close friends, because they brought us on the same month, essentially. Anyway, status active, age 35, height 1.68 meters, weight 60.8 kilograms. Profile: 2/11/2310, earned black belt in karate. 4/4/2313, earned black belt in aikido. 1/19/2313, took first place in IT intercollegiate grab ball competition. 6/9/2315, graduated magna cum laude from Columbia University with PhD in pre-unification history and BA in social psychology. 3/1/2315, hired onto Temporal Protectorate. 7/15/2325, transferred to the Deep Time Unit. I thought the Deep Time Unit was only formed in like the last year, so how could she be transferred 3 years ago? Because if we go, yeah, this says it would. That seems to be a bit of a typo or something, because that says 2327 is when the Deep Time Unit was formed. We were made, so they mean 2325. Okay, so I'm going off of the dossier since those seem to be more more consistent, but it seems like the Deep Time Unit is actually 3 years old, not 1. And she was brought on 7/15. So 2 weeks after we were chosen to form the head of the unit, Michelle Vizard was brought on. And I assume she's probably the first recruit. She, like us, seems to be a bit of a generalist. We've got a few more leadership skills, maybe, but her missions are Auschwitz, 4/26/1944 AD, Hiroshima, 8/6/1945 AD, Paris massacres, 3/11/2019 AD, Appomattox Courthouse, 4/9/1865 AD. Which that one, if you don't know, that's Civil War, American Civil War. Hiroshima, I think, is self-explanatory. Auschwitz, I think, is self-explanatory. Terrorist massacres was something they made up. I know that date is in our past, but it was in their future. And at the time, terrorism was a lot less commonplace than it is now. Now we have Agent 6, Roger O'Rourke, ID number 33539-485. Status active, age 35, height 1.93 meters, weight 82.4 kilograms. Profile 6/20/2316, graduated Caldoria University with PhD in Cultural Anthropology and BA in Ancient History. 8/1/2316 to 11/30/2322. Employed as Exhibit Coordinator, Smithsonian Institution. 12/1/2322 to 7/15/2325. Promoted to Curator of Historic Exhibits, Smithsonian Institute. 8/1/2325. Hired onto the Deep Time Unit. So he was hired a month after we formed the Deep Time Unit. So he is here purely as a historian and not as like a temporal security agent, because you'll notice in his profile he has no special forces training like just about everyone else does. Interest: Greek mythology, history, theater, volleyball. So he's a recent recruit, and maybe he received some training as part of the onboarding process, but... And then we have Tamara Walsh, ID number 75848-900, status active, age 33, height 1.78 meters, weight 67.5 kilograms. Oh, I forgot to go over his missions. Sumar, 6/1/3500 BC. The Gnosis and Crate, never seen it with a C before, 6/1/2500 BC. Tahiti, 6/1/1350 BC, and Beijing, China, 6/1/700 BC. So basically a lot of way back when. Love to see a game that takes place in Sumar. Anyways, Tamara Walsh, I think I went through her vitals. Profile, 2/1/2311 to 7/10/2313. Employed as receptionist, World Science Center. Hey, she wasn't... she might have been there when, because I forget exactly when that was held, but she might have been there during our mission to the World Science Center. 9/12/2316 to 6/26/2319. Employed as teacher's assistant, Harvard University. 6/26/2319. Graduated Harvard on honor roll and Dean's List, PhDs in post-unification history and political science. 8/1/2319 to 6/26/2325. Employed as professor of history, Columbia University. 8/14/2325. Hired onto the Deep Time Unit. Interest: politics, historical museums, 19th century literature and mystery. So again, she is someone who has no special forces training and has been brought on purely as a historian in order to research the past. Missions: Independence Hall, Philadelphia, 6/1/1787 AD. So that would be probably for the Declaration of Independence or the formation of the United States. Excuse me. East Berlin, 11/9/1989 AD. So fall of the Berlin Wall. Gorbistan, 5/10/2112 AD. You may recognize that from Pegasus Prime. that is, I believe, when the Unification Treaty was signed, which we helped ensure happened. And the halls of Ministry, Sector 27, 216-2203 AD. So this may have been for... I don't know what this would be. The world would have been unified by then. But it would have been before alien contact. So maybe it was... I don't even think it would have been for... like the founding of the TSA, so I'm not quite sure what that mission is, but it's also super recent. 2203, yeah, or no, that's a century ago. But still, I don't know what was happening a century ago that her mission would be there, and you'd think there would be no need for something that recent. Like, they should have good history by then, but whatever. So that is all of the agent dossiers. So it seems one of them is likely to have set us up, but which one is the question? Now, some final things before we head out. We got some pictures here, which these are actually the first time I've noticed them. Obviously, they're too small for me to really see any details. Presumably, Gage doesn't have a family since this place is empty. The only family he has would just be like parents and siblings. First off, let's check this, which is actually a futuristic answering machine.
3 messages.
Mr. Blackwood, this is Mark Johnson from Interactive News Network. I'm just calling to see if you'd like a chance to tell your side of the story. Give me a call at Sector 10, 569-82227, and we'll talk about setting up an exclusive interview. I hope to hear from you soon.
You may remember him as the host of INN News. And yeah, he's the same guy. Most of the actors are the same as Pegasus Prime, at least the ones that are returning from Pegasus Prime.
Hey Gage, how you doing? Listen, I was... Oh shoot, it's your day off. You're probably in Tahiti, as usual. Well, anyway, I was wondering if I could borrow your Environ system. The record button's busted on mine, and I haven't had a chance to get it fixed. And hey, you do me this one favor? I might be willing to forget our bet. Remember? Grab ball last week? Thought you'd get away with it, huh? Not this time, pal. I beat you fair and square. So call me. I'm at home. Thanks. Bye.
She wanted to record something on our Environ system, but it shows she's still very active in Grab Ball and still loves Grab Ball. Because remember, so she obviously was playing Grab Ball with us and was beating our ass. She, let's see. She took first place in a Grab Ball competition in college and has a continuing interest in Grab Ball. So Grab Ball seems to be very much her thing. And we have one final message on our answering machine. Oh, that is not what I wanted to hit. Nope, go back. Oh, what the? Okay. No trying to cue this up, no cheating. I like how the audio for that's playing even though I didn't click on it.
Gage, it's me. Wake up and answer the phone. Hello. I know you're there. Where else could you be? Well, anyway, you owe me, pal. I got your jumpsuit. I just pray they don't realize their key evidence is missing before you figured out what's going on, or we'll both be in neck deep. I mean, it wouldn't take a genius to figure out that I was the only one who could have taken it. But hey, they wouldn't fire me, would they? I'm their chief technician. Who else do they have to get their net games running? I'll send you the suit as soon as I put in an Opmin biochip. If you get a chance, you'll want to modify it to automatically record evidence. And if you need anything else, please, hesitate to call me. Oh, and Gage, do me a favor. Erase your messages for a change. Thanks. Good luck, buddy.
So that is William Doughton. He is the chief technician for the TSA and maintains all the jumpsuits and stuff. So he is the reason we were able to get our jumpsuit even though we were under house arrest. Finally, there is one more stack of information we're going to go through for today's episode. And we have some mission logs from Gage to read through. Personal mission log transcription. Gage Blackwood ID 242232-448. 7/28/2329, 4:26 p.m. For the past few jumps, I've been experiencing a vague, dizzy sort of feeling when I time travel. It's pause. It's almost like something hovering just beyond the reach of my consciousness, like a word on the tip of my tongue, and then the feeling goes away as soon as I get to where I'm going. I've never heard of anyone experiencing this before, so I'm afraid that I might be developing some new kind of time travel disease, or maybe a sensitivity to it. Not that I'm surprised, no one's ever proven that time travel is entirely safe. We're the guinea pigs. Sigh. Well, whatever. It is, I can only hope... whatever it is, I can only hope that it doesn't get any worse. If it does, I'll have to let Chalman know. I presume Chalman is their registered doctor or whatever. Personal mission log transcription. Gage Blackwood ID 242232-448. 8/15/2329, 9:47 a.m. I don't understand it. Coordinates of the station were supposed to be accurate to within a millimeter, but somehow I just ended up floating in space where the station had been about an hour earlier. Unless the location and velocity data were wrong, I don't know how it could have been so badly miscalculated. They said they took everything into account, down to the most negligible effects on its velocity by any bodies within 1,000 light years of it. I could see the station drifting out there, but I couldn't get to it. The suit doesn't have any kind of thrusters. Pause. TSA protocol says to scrap a mission if something unpredictable happens, but this is obviously just an error in calculation. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to find a way to get to the station, but if I go into the TSA looking for a thruster, someone might wonder what's up. So it looks like I'll have to get creative. 8/15/2329, 11:14 a.m. I came up with a pretty cheesy idea for propelling myself to the space station. I still can't believe it actually worked. Not that it matters. Even after getting in, I kept running into barriers, no oxygen, no gravity, jammed doors. And here's the kicker. I heard a voice. There shouldn't have been anyone there. Whoever it was saw me and told me to get off of the station. Actually, I'm not sure he saw me so much as detected my presence, but still, I had no choice. I had to abort. It's a miracle I didn't cause a ripple. Maybe because whoever it was died up there before coming into contact with another human being. But I can't help but think, what if it was Farnstein? Did he live longer than we believe? The station was obliterated. How could he have survived? Pause. Or could the stories be true? Might have been an artificial life form that he created? I can't escape the irony. I went there to learn the truth, but the truth is what forced me away. Sigh. Maybe this is a sign that some things are meant to remain unknown. Personal mission log transcription. Gage Blackwood ID 242232-448. 9/1/2329, 2:33 p.m. So this was 8 days before our present time. I don't know about my luck these days. It happened again. When I got to Gaillard, there was someone standing right in front of me, looking out over the tower wall. He spun around the second he heard the displacement effect. There wasn't a thing I could do, but before he could even draw his sword, an arrow came over the wall and hit him in the back. Lucky for me, I guess, he would have killed me. Can you imagine the distortion that would have caused? It should have created a huge one as it was. I guess we're just damn lucky that the arrow would have hit him anyway. Pause. I don't get it. The jump locations are supposed to be scanned with a fine-tooth comb. How could they have not noticed? I'd like to hear their explanation for this one. And then, I go to watch Philip Augustus' men climbing up through the garderobe, and when I get there, all I see is the grappling hook they left behind. The whole reason I was sent there was to document how the castle fell, and they got me there too late for it. I know it's difficult to distill accurate information from historical accounts, but this is twice in as many missions. I guess I'm going to have to have a little talk with the guys in research before I end up materializing in the middle of a Shriners convention. 9/6/2329, 2:15 p.m. On my last jump, the strange feeling that I've been experiencing during time travel became a little more tangible. I became aware of a faint, almost imperceptible ghost image of my jumpsuit floating slightly out of phase with myself. I'm assuming it's a glitch in the suit's circuitry. The time phase synchronizer is probably malfunctioning. That should worry me, but I'm actually relieved. At least now I know there's nothing wrong with me. I'm going to have Bill run a diagnostic on my suit tomorrow. And that is the last of our information, at least that we can glean from walking around our apartment. There is a lot more information that we have to get, though, which we'll save that for next time. But we got a lot of important information this time, too. So with that, oops, I went too far. I just want to put myself in front of the environ chamber. Okay, apparently I mashed the walk key too much, so we're at the mercy of however many times I pushed it. So yeah, you can still queue up moves like in Journeyman Project Purple. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that. Okay. One more. There we go. Alright, so with that, I will leave you all until next time. So with that, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.